Hey guys, what's up? We are back with another video today, and today I am doing my Notre Dame schedule slash prediction. So as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Help me reach 200 subscribers for the end of the year. I'm getting a lot of support recently, so make sure that you continue that. Like this video if you enjoy it. Comment all your thoughts and opinions down below. Comment your thoughts, your record predictions, and I respond to every single one. So make sure that you leave your suggestion. Once I hit 200 subscribers, I'll be doing 2 viewer suggested videos. This is one of my suggestions if you want to watch my Jets breakdown, roster breakdown. Make sure you go check that out. That was another video suggestion. And I'll be doing a couple more in the next couple of days. So make sure that you are going to check out that content. So let's get started with today's video. So I'm a big Notre Dame fan. As you can see, I have the Notre Dame shirt on. So this year should be interesting with the loss of Ian Book, a loss of a lot of offensive linemen, from your left tackle to your right tackle with Robert Hainsey and Liam Eichenberg, and just all over the board. You have guys like Aaron Banks gone. You guys have like Tommy Kramer gone. 4 out of your 5 offensive linemen are gone. You thought you had a left tackle in Jared Patterson. From what I've been hearing from camp, it looks like Jared Patterson's going to be your center again. At left guard or right guard, you have Kane Madden, probably left guard. At right guard, you have Josh Lugg. At left tackle, you have Blake Fisher. And at right tackle, and this is just according to what I've heard, right guard is supposed to be, let's see. Right guard, who is right guard supposed to be? I think Quinn Carroll. According to what I have written down and what I've heard in reports, I think it's Quinn Carroll. Maybe it's Zeke Correll. But it's moving around so much that it's hard to tell. Josh Lugg at right tackle, most likely. But then you have at the quarterback position, you have probably Jack Cohn. I don't think he's been named the starter as I am recording this. But he is pretty solidified there. I think that he's a little bit of a downgrade leadership-wise from Ian Book, and I have been a massive Ian Book supporter. I'm not as down on him as most people are, but I really think that he had a lot of leadership roles in this team as the Notre Dame starter and had the most all-time wins as a quarterback. But at the running back position, you have Kyron Williams, Chris Tyree, Audrey Estime, Sibo Flemister. Like, the list goes on and on and on. I really like your running back room generally. I think that you have a lot of talent there. So you have a good running back core there. You have at the wide receiver position guys like Lawrence Keys. I'm sorry, I cannot spit it out. Lawrence Keys, Avery Davis, Braden Lindsey, Kevin Austin. Like, you have an array of guys that are coming in, or that aren't coming in. But then you have the guys that are coming in, like you have Dean Colsey, you have Lorenzo Styles, you have Jaden Thomas, and I think all of those guys will make a big difference. The biggest difference, I think, is going to be Lorenzo Styles on the special team in particular. Maybe a little bit of punt returning, maybe a little kickoff returning action. I'm hoping to see a big rebound from him. You obviously have the great tight end in Michael Mayer. I'm a little bit concerned about the depth behind Michael Mayer, just because you don't have a clear and obvious number 2. I'd say Kevin Ballman is probably your number 2. You have, let's see here. Yeah, you don't really have a clear number 2 other than that. So I'm generally, I think that the offense could be a little bit of a weakness this season, but the problem that I see compared to all of these predictions of what's going on with Notre Dame is that when people think they're going 8-4, 7-5, or 9-3, the biggest problem I have is that what about, like, you have an explosion of offensive talent, don't get me wrong. Lawrence Keys and Braden Lindsey and Avery Davis, Kevin Austin, all 4 of those guys are unproven, including Deion Colsey, Jaden Thomas, and Lorenzo Styles are all unproven because they're freshmen. All 7 of those guys are unproven. But at the same time, if any of those guys hit to the talent level that they're expected to when they came into Notre Dame or coming into Notre Dame, That could be a massive improvement compared to anything we had last year from Ben Skoranek, Javon McKinley. Even Avery Davis last year could show some improvement. And with that running back room of Chris Tyree and Kyron Williams, you have such a dynamic room that Jack Cohn may be able to distribute the ball and be the game manager the same way that Ian Book was, because on a just purely playing level, you lose a little bit of mobility from Ian Book, but other than that, you gain a little bit of arm strength, so I think it's pretty equal there. So as long as Jack Cohn's game managing, and none of these teams are like significantly more talented, none of the teams are more talented than Notre Dame, so you should be able to beat teams just purely on your talent level alone. On the defensive end, I'm super excited about guys like Isaiah Foskey, Myron Tagovailoa-Amosa. I think that the front four in particular are really exciting, especially those two defensive ends. At defensive tackle and nose guard, you have Kirk Heinisch and Jason Adamiola. I am excited about the depth that you have there, especially with Jordan Botelho now probably 99% going to be there during the season, barring any injuries. So I expect him to be there and to be a key contributing piece on that Notre Dame defense, with the addition of, I probably should have mentioned this before, Marcus Freeman as defensive coordinator over Clark Lee, who left to become the head coach at Vanderbilt. I'm a big Freeman supporter. I know some fans are kind of iffy on him, some fans aren't. It just kind of depends on who you are. I'm a big Marcus Freeman supporter, and I hope that he's the next head coach, just because purely looking at his recruiting status lately, getting guys out of Ohio like Brandon Vernon, and guys on the defensive end that are just so good and so explosive that you could see massive improvements on a just pure talent level on the defensive end. Like, Clark Lee was a great defensive coordinator and a great development of talent. The problem that I had with him is that he developed a lot of 3-stars into 5-star type guys like Julian Love or Jeremiah Wusu-Koromoa, or like a bunch of guys. The problem that I had with him is he had a hard time getting into the recruit's house and really convincing them to come to Notre Dame and developing them, even though he did a really good job. So I'm excited with Marcus Freeman getting a lot more of those high-end 4-stars, low-end to medium-end 5-stars, and hopefully competing for those high-end 5-stars too. At the linebacker position, this is probably the most exciting spot personally on the Notre Dame roster. You guys like Shane Simon, Drew White, Jack Kaiser, and that's just the starters. You have guys coming in like Prince Kali. You have guys that haven't even fully gotten their shot, like Maris Luafau, or just a assortment of guys that could be really, really good come this season. I think that this could be a breakout season for Alexander. Let me see if I say this name. Eschenberg. I know I'm saying that name wrong, but I'm sorry. Generally, I think that the secondary could be a little bit of a weakness with guys like Clarence Lewis, Philip Riley, Cam Hart. You could see a lot of younger guys play at positions that are of much need, so I'm hoping that this defensive rush gets quickly after the quarterback, because I don't completely trust this secondary outside of Kyle Hamilton. Obviously, you have probably like the best safety in college football and like a top 10 draft pick, probably top 5 next year. I think Houston Griffin has the talent to come out here and play strong. I don't know whether he will. I hope he will. So generally, I am excited that Clarence Lewis is back and ready to play a full season. Not that he didn't last year, but that it's his second full season of play. And after the ups and downs of last year, I hope he will take over that number 1 cornerback position. You have Cam Hart, you have Philip Riley, and I think that you should be able to get some good play out of maybe a KJ Wallace. So I'm tempted to say this secondary could be good, but it all kind of depends on how good is the cornerbacks and how good is Houston Griffin. I think that all kind of depends there. You have really good special teams with Jay Bramblett and Jonathan Dorr at kicker and punter. Really excited about them. So now going through the schedule really quickly. At Florida State, this is a win here. I see Notre Dame completely blowing them out of the water. Not in a sense that it's going to be easy, but in a sense that I think that they're just going to beat them up. I don't see this team being very competitive in week 1. That is Florida State. Then you have a first home game of the year against Toledo. I have this as a win here. They're your warm-up game. Then you have a home game against Purdue. Purdue could be interesting just because Jeff Brom's job is on the line. So maybe you have guys like David Bell and George Karlaftis that have talent. It's just whether they're able to put it together for Jeff Brom and maybe his final season. So I think that will be a win there. But depending on how good Jeff Brom gets his team, it could be a little bit more difficult going than you want. Then you have a neutral site game / home game against Wisconsin. It's in Chicago, which is like 20 minutes away from where Notre Dame is in South Bend. I'm going to have this as a loss. What I want to say here is this. I don't think Notre Dame goes 12-0 particularly. I think that they lose a game somewhere, so I'm going to put it with the best team and not being a home game with Wisconsin. So I'm going to put that as a loss there just because I don't think they go 12-0. So loss there. Then you have a home game against Cincinnati. I think this is going to be a win here. Even though Desmond Ridder could be a Heisman contender and Cincinnati could be a top 10 team and could compete for a playoff spot if they win this Notre Dame game and win the Indiana game, and Notre Dame and Indiana are pretty good teams. But it's a home game for Notre Dame, so I just don't think it happens. I think with Marcus Freeman being our defensive coordinator, that gives us an advantage just because I think Marcus Freeman can change stuff up, but if he knows what Luke Fickell's doing, I think it just gives you an advantage. Then you have an away game against Virginia Tech. I may be at that game. We'll see what happens there, but I have that as a win there. Just get rid of the narrative that going to Blacksburg is like this tough thing that is going to end super poorly. Like Notre Dame, just to go through the games that Notre Dame's played them. The last time they played them that's a home game. I'm sorry. Last time they played them at Virginia Tech, both teams were ranked. They beat them 45-23, and they were only favored by 6 in that game. Guys, it ain't gonna be a close game. It's just not. I don't get this narrative. I just don't. Then you have a bye week, and then you play USC. You beat them the last 3 times in a row. You beat them 7 out of the last 3 times over the past decade. You haven't lost a home game to USC since 2011. Like, the factors just stack up. The last time these two teams were both very good with a good quarterback from USC, I'd like to look over this record. You played them in 2017 when both teams were pretty good. USC was number 11, and you beat them 33-10 in masterful fashion that made, I'm sorry, that was North Carolina the previous week, 49-14. That was against the number 3 pick overall in Sam Darnold. I don't think I need to remind anybody more than that. Keaton Slovich is a highly talented and respected guy in the upcoming NFL draft in 2022, and may go as high as number 1 to number 5 if he has a season to remember like Sam Darnold. But then again, I don't see this UST team being very good. Sorry, guys. Then you have a home game against North Carolina. Guys, Notre Dame beat this North Carolina team and beat them pretty significantly at North Carolina last year. Going to Notre Dame, and let me explain this very clearly to anybody that is watching that thinks North Carolina is going to win this game. Notre Dame beat this team with its top 2 wide receivers, with its top 2 running backs that are both gone. They beat them with their top linebacker, who is their top defensive player in Chad Surratt. He's also gone. All of those guys are gone. Some of their key offensive linemen are gone. And you're telling me that, yes, Notre Dame lost pieces, but they also beat them last year. And to be completely honest with you, they did not lose as much as some people think they did, just on a general level that they're freaking out that they lost Ian Book, yet they did not respect Ian Book at all. I'm going to calm down a little bit here. Notre Dame isn't losing this game at home when they haven't lost a home game since, let's see here, Um, 2017. 2017 was the last time they lost a home game. If Notre Dame loses that game, I'll come on YouTube and I will apologize for that. But until they lose a home game, I'm not saying Notre Dame is going to lose a home game, especially against a team that isn't a Clemson or Alabama. And to remind you, Notre Dame beat Clemson last year at Notre Dame. Yes, I understand that was with DJ, but also remember that DJ had the best passing performance at Notre Dame in history. So I don't think Trevor Lawrence would have made that much of a difference. I rest my case. Then you have a home game against Navy. The only question that I have about this game is why do you keep playing Navy? Win there at Virginia. Going to be an interesting game. A little bit tougher Virginia team, but last time you played a tough Virginia team, you beat them up pretty well with Bryce Perkins. I have that as win there. Then you have a home game against Georgia Tech. Win there, even though it's an improving Georgia Tech game. This game could be a little bit interesting. Don't take it as a trap Notre Dame and don't suck. And then you have an away game against Stanford to finish out the season in California, like every year, unlike last year, which was the first time in a while Notre Dame had their final game as a home game against Syracuse, which was that was interesting. I have that as win there, and that pretty much finishes out this video of roster breakdown and season predictions. As always, have a great day. Bye.